And Mr. Gannon, to get you on the record, to be fair, because I asked Mr. Caldwell, is a millionaire's tax on the table in your administration if you win?
Taxes are on the table, but I'd be careful of millionaire taxes.
Last night, a Republican candidate in New Jersey gave what may go down as one of the worst debate answers ever. Is that a fair assessment, Cenk? What do you think of, or what comes to mind when you hear his response there?
No, look, first of all, Jordan, I don't know when these millionaires are gonna finally catch a break. So I'm glad we found one politician to stand up for the millionaires in this country. It's about time. I've been waiting my whole life for it. Okay, I can't wait to see the rest of his answer.
Yeah. Well, yesterday was the Jersey Lieutenant Governor's debate. Morris County Sheriff Jim Gannon, who's running with Republican Jack Ciattarelli, faced off against Democratic nominee Mikey Sherrill's running mate Dale Caldwell. And the issue of New Jersey residents losing benefits came up. The so-called Big Beautiful Bill that was passed by Trump and the Republicans shifts some of the cost burden for healthcare coverage and food benefits from the federal government to the states. The Jersey Department of Human Services said that after the bill passed, about 350,000 residents will lose healthcare coverage under the plan. That's 20% of those covered today. On top of which, according to the Human Services Commissioner, the impact to the 800,000 residents who receive SNAP food assistance, more than 60% of which are children or seniors, is requiring state budget to raise 100 to 300 million, or risk eliminating the entire SNAP program for New Jersey, requiring county governments to find or tax an additional 78 million annually due to decreasing federal reimbursement. So the candidates were asked how they would find the money to prevent New Jersey residents from losing benefits and whether or not they would consider raising taxes on millionaires. And here was Gannon's answer.
Taxes are on the table, but I'd be careful of millionaire taxes. They're employing us. They're
so
also
new taxes are on the table in New Jersey in your administration?
Well, you have to look at it. You have to look at the whole thing. But what I'm saying is millionaires, we can't just beat up the millionaires. The millionaires many times are our employers. They're employing us.
We can't beat up the millionaires. Now, that millionaire protectionism is probably not going to play well with a lot of New Jersey residents. Back in 2019, when Democratic Governor Phil Murphy renewed calls for a millionaire's tax, which eventually passed, a Rutgers poll found that 7 in 10 New Jersey residents strongly, 46% or somewhat 26%, supported raising taxes on households making more than $1 million annually. But the guy Gannon's running with has a reason to not want to tax millionaires or increase taxes on millionaires. Tax returns show that Ciattarelli, 63, a former state assemblyman who started and sold 2 medical publishing businesses, has made almost 14.9 million in income and paid almost 4 million in federal, state, and local taxes since 2012. His most profitable year came in 2017 when he retired and sold his second medical publishing business. That year, he reported almost 7.1 million in total income, the returns show. Now, for the record, the Democratic candidate is also a millionaire too. Cheryl and her husband, a broker at UBS Securities, reported roughly 3.2 million in income for 2024, their tax returns say. But Cenk, I think the point here, and I think something the entire audience will agree with, you can't beat up on the millionaires. You gotta stop fighting the little guy. You can't punch down on them. There's fewer of them than us.
Maybe he thinks it's vis-a-vis billionaires. And so he's like, well, look, I mean, the billionaires run the country, but you can't beat up on the tiny little guy, the billionaires. So they say things like that all the time. And we run that clip all the time of the billionaire dude that went on CNBC and cried about a wealth tax. He's like, well, how many billions will I have left? And so, but they believe it. Like the people who support Israel to this day really believe they're the victims and they're the moral ones, etc. And the millionaires and the billionaires, they really think that they're getting attacked all the time, and they're like, oh, they feel under siege. They're like, oh, stop. Guys, you own all the politicians. What are you talking about? You're not beat up at all. You pay like way less taxes than Europe and so many other places. And in this particular case, so what should the voters of New Jersey do? Is it because they wanted to just be like beat up on rich people and get vent and it's emotional release? No, the conversation is around, should we get rid of all assistance to hungry families, or should we have a little extra tax on people making above $1 million and on their income only above $1 million, okay? So those are your choices. But he doesn't frame it as, well, I mean, we could do a couple percent or whatever on millionaires, and instead of beating up on people who desperately need food, but he doesn't frame it that way. No, we implicitly have to take food out of their mouths, even though they're desperate and they need it very badly. We need to take the food away from them and give it to the millionaires. Oh, but if you don't, you're beating up on them. All right, so, and my favorite fact though in this story was that both of the candidates are millionaires. Of course, it's America. How are you gonna run for office if you're not a millionaire? It's drowning in money. But anyways, okay, I lied. My actual favorite part was when he kept saying, they're employing us. They're employing us. Well, in his case, it's literal. The guy he's running with is a millionaire and it's kind of employing him. But we don't have to beg the wealthy in this country and say, oh, we promise we'll give you tax cuts. Please, we'll fix all the laws on your behalf. Just please employ us. No, our democracy is supposed to protect us from the powerful, from the wealthy. Because look, in any government, in any country, there'll be an accumulation of wealth and hence power in one area. And whoever that is, it doesn't really matter. Remember, all the different governments have all different races, religions, etc. Whoever accumulates that power and wealth will use it to consolidate their power and wealth. And if you live in a democracy, the government is supposed to look out for the people and protect them against that consolidated power and wealth. And so, but here in America, we get propaganda from mainstream media 24/7 telling you that it's actually the millionaires and billionaires that are besieged and that you owe them because they've employed you. Are they not merciful? I mean, they have given you low wages and you're still complaining? No, tax cuts. Wait a minute. If you're so worried about the average guy who's employed by them, instead of helping the rich every time, why don't you help the average guy? But they do this absurd, insane thing, Jordan, that our media plays along with. No, if you want to help the average guy, you do not give money to him. You give money to someone infinitely wealthier than him, and that wealthy guy will trickle on the head of the average guy 10 to 20 years from now when he buys a yacht, and then that guy was working in yacht building. Here, congratulations, I trickled on you, okay? And our media goes, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, no, it doesn't.
One thing to point out before we go to our next story. Yeah, of course, they're both going to be millionaires. And I think if you're going to call for a tax on millionaires or defend the existing one, that's fine, I guess. If you are a millionaire, you're calling for it on yourself. Okay, sure. How you made that money, I think is interesting. Don't love the financial sector. I'm a little bit more sympathetic to people who become a millionaire like Bernie Sanders through book sales by saying we need to tax the wealthy and still living modestly. A little bit more justifiable. But then also when you think about it, when there's candidates that are not wealthy when they run for office or not supremely wealthy, like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She was a service worker. She worked at a bar before she ran for Congress. Then all of a sudden, whoa, you're not qualified for this. Millionaires only, get out of here. And she's continually, still to this day, derided. And these same people, you see them go after Pelosi for insider trading and amassing wealth while they're in office. Her net worth, AOC's net worth has not really grown since taking office several years ago. But even still, she's getting hit with oh, you're not qualified for that. You were just a bartender. So what do these people want? Do you want a system where people are not profiting off of the office? Or do you only want the wealthy? Because make up your mind, you're saying two totally different things.
Yeah, you're forcing me to say two more things. For the record, Jordan forced me, okay?
Yeah.
So one is, look guys, I don't want to eat the rich. I don't like those shirts. I'm not in favor of it. I'm not against millionaires. I'm against injustice. And our government is supposed to do justice. I know. Unfortunately, it's become a joke now. But so it's about, hey, how do we build schools and roads and feed people if they're desperate and give them health care if they're sick, while still maintaining a good system that's fair for everyone, that allows people to live the American dream, and at the same time give people a handout when they need it. That's what we're looking for here. So don't believe the hype that this is all like weirdo, vengeful attack against the rich or something like that. No. And then finally, I'm from Jersey, and so I go back every once in a while, and there's these hilarious billboards now. It says, "GotHurtInJersey.com," which I think is like the best billboard ever, right? Because if you've ever been in Jersey, you got HurtInJersey.com. Okay. I know I used to get in fights all the time. I've been there. So that's of course for like car crashes or whatever, those lawyers. But I feel like Sheriff Jim Gannon got HurtInJersey.com in that debate.